Hi there, PolishLynx here. This is Everlasting Summer. Let's continue the talk about the marriage with a cat girl, maybe? You never know. We sat there for a long time talking about all sorts of foolish things. Like marriage with a cat girl? Finally, Yulia said, "Let's go sleep." Yeah, good time. I felt a wave of a terrible fatigue. Tomorrow is time to pack our things. But I have nothing to pack. How about that? He has nothing to pack. But do you not know what? I have. For example, I grew good naturally. I just can't imagine what she was planning to take. What about my supplies for the winter? Apples, nuts, mushrooms. Do you really think you will need that? Of course. She jumped up and looked at me sternly. I'm going to sleep and you can do whatever you want. With these words, Yulia marched briskly towards the camp leader's cabin. Hey, I didn't... I rushed after her. After entering the cabin, Yulia immediately undressed, snuck in the bed and pulled the blanket over her head. I didn't mean anything like that. If you want to take your stores, then let's take them. In the end, they could be useful for us, especially in my situation where anything could happen. I was joking. She peeked out from under the blanket and stuck out her tongue. And now, sleep, commanded Yulia. I didn't mind it, so I undressed, lay down beside her, and we fell asleep holding each other. Where is it going? I had a strange dream. No, of course, being here in this camp was extremely strange by itself, incomparable with any normal nighttime dreams. However, in this dream, everything seemed so real that... But when I woke up, I couldn't remember a thing. There were only vague images of a long driveway, an old rusted bus, the rickety gates of the old camp, collapsed statues of pioneers, and an abandoned square. I ran through Sovyonok back and forth, as if trying to find someone. But exactly who remained a mystery to me. When I woke up, the sun was already setting. A bright sunbeam was lighting up dust drifting in the sides of the room and painting it with all colors of the rainbow. Reflections on the glass took on different outlines. Look from one angle and it's just a spot of sunlight. Look from another and it's a pirate waving his cutlass. I stretched lazily and yawned. Turning to the other side, I saw Yulia sleeping peacefully next to me. Good morning, said Yulia without opening her eyes. It's daytime already. Morning starts when you wake up. That's a hell of a truth. We're talking just the same way I did before. So now you change your mind? Well, I don't know, during the last week I got used to getting up in the morning. That was not entirely true, because I didn't always wake up with the sunrise and regularly missed the lineups. Exactly. You want to say that you've changed? She giggled. I think any man in my position would change, at least a little. It seemed quite natural to me. Yeah, perhaps. I won't argue. A long silence followed. The kind of silence where you are not tortured by the need to say something just to break the oppressive awkwardness. This silence could say more than any words. Well, we are leaving today, I asked finally. I think so. You think? You mean you are not even sure? Not completely. This is happening for the first time. You mean the disappearance of the pioneers? Not just that. She got out of the bed and started to dress. I looked at her mesmerized, unable to look away. What are you looking at? Get up, it's time to pack. You mean your berries and mushrooms? Of course. Yulia stood arms akimbo and looked at me resentfully. Do you want all my supplies to be gone? Of course I don't. To tell the truth, I didn't really give a damn about them. To be precise, I just don't see the point in stocking food for a one-way journey. At least without a return ticket for sure. A few minutes later we were standing in the same forest glade, where the day before Yulia had been sprinkling a mushroom with sugar. She went behind the tree, threw aside the leaves and pulled out a heavy sack. All this... This isn't all. This is just what's necessary. I couldn't put what I planned to say in a nice way, so I decided to say nothing. The sack was filled with mushrooms, berries, apples, nuts, all mixed up. I immediately had serious doubts about the fitness for human consumption of this assorted lot. "Take it," said Yulia, pointing at the sack with an easy smile. "Well, I hope you understand that I won't be able to..." No, you're strong. Look how massive you are." She used her hands to indicate the difference in our heights. I tried to lift the sack. I would weigh at least 30 kilos. "Look, let's only take some of it. We won't be able to eat all this anyway." I was trying to cheat. "Why not? Winters are long in these lands." "How would you know that?" "I guessed." I tried to make the most painful grimace I could. "I can match it to the square at most. Have mercy on me." Yulia thought a little. "Okay, then throw out the berries." What a great solution. Get rid of the lightest stuff. However, I didn't object and so put my hand into the sack. "I can't say it got any lighter," I said when I finished with the berries. "I don't want to hear it." I sighed and sank helplessly into the ground next to the sack. I don't know what is wrong with this guy. "Just take it!" "Then let's carry it in turns." "But it's heavy!" exclaimed Yulia. "That's what I'm telling you." "I mean, it's heavy for me." "As if it's light for me." I muttered under my breath, trying to make Yulia not hear it. "It is light for you." It seems I should not underestimate her cat ears. "Okay, let's come back here later. For now, it would be nice to have something to eat." "Well, maybe." She smiled and held out her hands to me. The canteen was filled with the smell of fried potatoes. Yulia flittered around me, watching me cook. To tell the truth, I never found any special pleasure in doing this. I always wanted to start eating immediately, without waiting for all the ingredients to be prepared, the water to boil, the dumplings to float up. That's why I'm usually fine with eating sandwiches or fast food. "You're doing so well." "I told you there is nothing special to it." But... She tried to find words. "But you're doing well anyway." "I'm glad you like it." "Of course I like it." Judging by the way Yulia was demolishing the potatoes, she actually enjoyed my simple culinary creation. "Are you worried?" "Chew first, then speak." "What allowed?" "You must behave in polite society." "And what kind of society are we in here?" Yulia spread her hands to the sides and laughed. That was true. The canteen was empty. Just like the whole camp. What do you think? Where are they all gone to? "How should I know?" She picked up the last piece with her fork and deftly popped it into her mouth. "You miss them?" "Sort of." "What about me? I am better than any stray dog." Another quote. I didn't pay any special attention to it this time. Given that you're some kind of cat, you definitely got your quotes right. "Are you feeling lonely?" "Well, I'm not alone here." "Just the two of us." "But if what had happened didn't happen, we may be." I stopped for a moment. "So, in other realities, you and me weren't so... close?" Yulia finished for me. "Yeah."
"No."
"It's strange."
"Why?"
"Well, because there are a lot of camps, as you say, and according to the theory of probability. Which means that everything that happened within the last 2 days is really something exceptional."
"You say that as if it's bad."
"Of course not." I felt the blood rush to my head. "Just strange. There are lots of strange things here. That's why I use that word so often. Anyway, you are just nitpicking."
"Me? Who? Me? Never."
She laughed. "No, you are seriously nitpicking, especially when it comes to words."
"Why would I do that?"
"I can't even imagine. You'd know better." Seems like any of my arguments she already had an answer prepared, as if she knew in advance what I would say. Forget it. So, let's go.
Where?
I realized that saying this was a big mistake. Now she definitely dragged me back to that sack. Well, there is enough time till the bus arrives, so we could...
Alright, the supplies!
I just scratched my chin and followed her. Epic fail. Carrying nearly 25 kilos is not easy, even for a short distance. I stopped every 50 meters to rest. Yulia hurried and encouraged me, but it was just making things worse. I don't know if I deserved a medal in some strange sock of catgirl supply short distance carrying event, but about an hour later the sack was transported to the bus stop. I collapsed beside it, exhausted. That's it.
You're such a hero. See? Nothing to be afraid of.
My whole body ached, my muscles burned, and rivers of sweat flowed from my forehead, stinging my eyes. I don't know what reward I was owed for this, but this competition was more like the Olympics for mentally challenged people. Though I won, I'm still a retard.
Look, the bus is coming.
What? I jump up, my fatigue vanished in an instant. Something could indeed be seen in the distance. I narrowed my eyes and saw the cars. But why? You had told me that it would arrive closer to the night. Moreover, I'd expected the Elias bus. Soon the bus stopped in front of us, and the door opened, inviting us in. The driver's seat was empty, but I was not really surprised. Much stranger things had happened here.
Coming?
Yulia easily jumped on the first step and gestured for me to follow her. Don't you think it's weird that buses go by themselves?
Well,
she thought about it.
Of course it is strange, but you said yourself that there are plenty of strange things here.
Yeah, she was right on that one. Anyway, I had no choice. In either case, whether I stay or I go on the bus, I'm not sure about what will come next. But in case of the second choice, I had at least an illusionary hope of escaping from this camp. I sighed and with one last effort lifted the sack and got on the bus. We drove for about an hour. Yulia was constantly chattering about something, but I wasn't listening. I carefully studied the passing landscapes through the window. Forests, fields, river, forests, fields. Absolutely nothing suspicious. On the one hand, this gave me some hope, but on the other, it was a sign that in the end, nothing will change, because in this world, it seems everything is slow and measured, following its well-established rules. That's how it was, at least a few days ago. Although maybe I shouldn't be drawing conclusions after having been there only a week.
Well, now I am sure everything will be fine.
I look at her carefully. Cat ears, a long tail that moved rhythmically back and forth, slightly enlarged fangs. Yulia seems like a character from a fairy tale. We can decide what to do with her in the real world later. I was turning into the one big throbbing vine, ready to burst any moment. I was waiting for how this will end. The result could be anything. For me, it was important not to go crazy ahead of time. My nerves were stretched to the limit and I tried not to think about anything. But it was impossible to distract myself.
Hey, are you even listening?
Huh? No, sorry. I was deep in thought.
Well, as always.
She pouted. Now is such a big moment. You know, we can get out of this camp, so it's a very important moment for me.
Well, it's important for me too, but I'm not worried.
You simply can't see this in context.
What do you mean?
Before, I lived in a different world. The real one, as it seemed, so I have something to compare this camp to. And you, we can say, were born here?
No, I wasn't.
How do you know?
I just know. I know that.
The bus peacefully bounced over the bumps, shaking me more and more. The steering wheel was turning on its own and I soon stopped noticing the absence of the driver. My eyes began to close and I dozed off. Oh. Some girl bent over me. She was gently whispering something in my ear. so tenderly that I felt a strong blow on the head.
Hey, don't sleep!
Am I disturbing you? I asked in annoyance, rubbing the bruised place.
You're not listening to me.
If we escape from here, we'll have lots of time for conversation.
And what if we don't escape?
Then we will have even more time. I tried to smile, but just thinking about that, we wouldn't ever leave this camp frightened me a lot, so I just gave a stupid grin.
It's better if we don't escape, because in your world, I don't know what to expect there, but you won't pay any attention to me at all.
I will, I promise. I hugged her sincerely.
Really, truly?
Really, truly. You leaned against me.
And you will listen to me?
Of course.
And you will always agree with me?
Should you say sure actually here? She pulled away and looked into my eyes.
Well then, I forgive you.
A loud laugh filled the bus cabin.
But be careful, don't you forget about that, or try to deceive me.
Want to sign a contract?
A marriage contract?
I don't have the property for that one anyway.
But I do.
Julia pointed the bag lying in the aisle. Well then. I tried to remember what I'd bought with my money. Here. I took my mobile phone out of my pocket. By this time it was already out of charge.
What's that?
Julia asked curiously, taking the mobile. A very useful thing in my world. You can communicate with people at a distance.
Wow, that's really cool. Excellent, that will do.
She put the mobile on the seat.
Till then, my supplies for the winter are from me, and from you is that thing.
Okay, deal.
Alright, now we are husband and wife.
She smiled slyly. Hey, wait. I suddenly remembered that all this conversation had started with a marriage contract. Anyway, without an official registration.
When we get to your world, we will register our marriage. A man without a wife is like a kitchen without a knife.
If you get there, of course. Yulia said nothing but just stared straight forward with her eyes wide open. And that's where we end the episode. Okay, I wonder if it's good or it's bad. But we'll see that in the next episode. Holy crap. The mystery will be revealed probably. Alright, see you then. Bye.